The last lecture that I put up touched on the topic of the temporary, of transience, of the fact that right now, this moment in time, this moment in culture, is one where we are encouraged to be brief and be quick and to validate each other as we post things on all of the ticker tapes that we are surrounded by, whether they be through social media channels or whether they be through texts or emails. Everything is listed and everything is very brief and everything is, to a certain extent, impersonal. And that has become the norm. And when I say that we're encouraged to, to buy into that, it's simply because it is everywhere we look. It has become the anomaly to communicate with each other face to face for the majority of our interactions. And, since I posted that video, Valentine's Day happened. And I'm fascinated by Valentine's Day because in my mind it's a corporate thing. It has nothing to do with encouraging each other to love or to embody love or to be love or to express love. It is simply an opportunity, I believe anyway, it is an opportunity for businesses to have you love their products and use their products and under the guise of this is what you need to express the love that Valentine's Day is going to ask you to elicit. So I've been thinking about this, moment in time where everything is very quick and very temporary. Very little is sustainable or long-lasting. In fact, one of the biggest conversations we're having globally is how to be more sustainable, how to create sustainability, most obviously in relation to the earth that supports us and nurtures us. But I've also been thinking about love. I've been thinking, and I always think about love. I mean, I believe that it is our responsibility to prioritize love over all other things every single day, which is why I think Valentine's Day it's nice. It's nice that there's one day where people are reminded, but I think that maybe it's my responsibility to remind people every day to prioritize love over fear, over doubt, over judgment, over all the things that typically we spend our time immersed in today, these days. And what I've noticed in my experience over the past couple of years is I've seen a lot of people who believe that love within a relationship, intimate love, is passionate love, and that as soon as the passion dies from a relationship, then the relationship is over. That as soon as the honeymoon period comes to an end and real life starts to creep in, that's when you part ways and go on the hunt for someone else. And I think that maybe there is this Hollywood projected idea that it is the great romance, that love is going to be that sweep you off your feet, punch you in the gut kind of sensation, and that if you don't find that, then you have to keep looking because, that's what it should be. Now, I think that initially when you fall in love with someone, it is that thing where it takes priority. However, I also know that energy eventually morphs and it becomes something else. And, the beginning of a relationship, what two people do is they are almost in awe of the fact that they have certain things in common. Like, I can't believe you love that because I love that and nobody loves that. And how crazy that the universe has brought us together. We both love this thing. It's meant to be. And listen, if you have chosen well in terms of your partner, and if there is good communication and if there is mutual respect, which is essential in a relationship. Without respect, the relationship is not a relationship and it will have a very short shelf life. And without compromise, knowing the art of compromise, how to compromise, when to compromise, the energy will eventually change. If you're lucky and you have all those factors, all those ingredients that are playing into the equation, then hopefully you'll get years of that honeymoon period. But ultimately, what happens is that honeymoon period comes to an end, and the energy, the vibration of the relationship changes, and that's the way it should happen. And once that vibration changes, what happens is that you go from focusing on all the things that you have in common to focusing on all the things that you don't. And that's when why'd you leave the towel on the floor there comes up. And that's when that's not how you do the dishes comes up. And that's when can't you close the door when I'm sleeping and you're doing something else in another room first thing in the morning comes up. This is when all these things come up. And what I've seen in people who I have known, let's say over the past 5-10 years, is that when these things start to come up, they start to plant a seed of doubt in people's minds. And it becomes that thing that insidiously permeates the relationship and starts to destroy it. Now, the vibration of love in a relationship, yes, it hopefully will begin with passion, but then it moves into a place of respect and of wisdom, and ultimately, I believe, of gratitude. I believe if we're not grateful for the fact that someone loves us enough to want to spend their life with us, without that, and listen, we're not sitting there just thanking them profusely and bowing and, on bended knee the whole time. That's not what I'm talking about. But there needs to be a low-level hum of gratitude, because we need to know how blessed we are in any given moment. And trust me, if someone is spending their life with you and you are spending your life with them and that's working, there better be gratitude. What I've seen is people who have sort of discarded their mates, their partners, because that love, or the vibration of that love, morphed, and they didn't know what to do with it. And I really believe that in this culture where today, we'll throw out like a mobile phone as soon as its successor is released into the marketplace, where quote-unquote friends are treated passive-aggressively with the dismissal of texts or emails or phone calls, and whatever other modes of communication, where we are so easily attracted to the new, bright, shiny thing, and we perpetuate that cycle with the arrival of every other new, bright, shiny thing, and we leave behind us a trail of discarded, abandoned moments behind us under the guise of them, or of their being obsolete. It's no wonder that love today is proving to be such a challenge to so many. I think that we need to really check ourselves, and we need to understand that not everything is disposable, and not everything is meant to be disposed of. I want to be clear, I'm not saying that if you've got a relationship, you stay in it come hell or high water, because generations that came before mine did practice that, and in many cases, it was the wrong move. You don't stay with someone if you hate their guts, and you don't stay with someone if they disrespect you, and you don't stay with someone if on a very intuitive level you know that this is not the person you're supposed to stay with. Period. However, we have got to start to work a little bit. We have got to start to expect to get our hands dirty, especially when it comes to relationships, because relationships are not meant to be easy. Relationships are not meant to always be a walk through the fields, through the flowers. We will be challenged, and what will make or break a union is whether both parties are willing to meet that challenge together on the same team, or if they're working against each other. In many cases, two parties in the same relationship will find that they are working against each other. And that's probably one of the first things that needs to be addressed in order to navigate that moment wisely and to emerge still united. That's really what it's all about. Those who are really stuck on the passionate moment in a relationship, what I've seen as well, and I've actually experienced this as well, is what brings you together is that moment of passion. And then what you do, once that passion starts to morph or dwindle, is you try to recreate that moment of passion. It's basically a relationship that is built on one moment. There's nothing else keeping it up. You're just trying to relive that moment over and over and over again. You're trying to create something long-lasting, rather, from something that has dwindled. And, sometimes passion is just passion. Sometimes it's not meant to equate to sustainability. And maybe sometimes you're only supposed to be with someone for a set amount of time, and that's it. Now, other times you are meant to be with that person, maybe for the long haul. But that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean that everything's just going to come to you. It means you got to be ready to work. It means you have to be ready to own your crap. It means you have to be ready to take responsibility when you screw up. It means you have to be willing to say, I'm sorry. It means you have to be willing to eat humble pie. And it means that you have to be willing to say, you know what, you're right, even in some moments, in some instances, when you really don't believe it. When you have to agree to disagree. It's a huge ask. Another one. So, I suppose this is simply a lecture about love. And this is a lecture about love within the union of a relationship. And so, my question, or my questions for you include, how do you love? Do you love in a it's my way or the highway kind of way? Do you love conditionally? Like, I'll love you as long as certain variables stay where they are. Do you withhold love as like a defense mechanism or a controlling device? Do you tend to love people more when they withhold from you? And ultimately, what prevents you from simply defaulting to love when things start to get a little bit challenging? Defaulting to compassion, defaulting to mercy, defaulting to empathy, and to simply allowing yourself to put yourself in other people's positions to potentially see a different point of view. How do you love? I hope I've given you something to think about here.